Talk to me, Cleveland, and all points north, east, west, south. Give me 1 second. I have the councilman on the line. 1 second, 1 second. Give me a second. Councilman Conwell. We're on live right now, brother, so you're on your way. All right. All right, appreciate it. All right, that was Councilman Kevin Conwell on the line. He will be joining us. This is an important show. If he's calling me during the time that we're supposed to be on, that's what it is. We're gonna bring some my brother Jerry Primm in right now, because we have some serious things to talk about. And I'm gonna get my brother in here. And what I want to do right now, before we even get to the main thing that we're talking about right now, of course, I got some things I have some other information to share, as we always do if anybody's watched the beginning of any broadcast. Right now, let's just do this. If anybody out there who already has never seen the show, they already know what this is. Spears of the Mossy, Volume 1. Hey, we need this information now more than ever. A historical survey of the minds of African warrior scholars, Volume 1. You see what it is. All right, it'll be brothers on here, the authors of this book from the Kofi Piesie research team on here. If you need to know where to find out how to get this, look in the chat. This is the book you want to get. Oh, and by the way, they have Volume 2. This is getting serious, guys. Volume 2. Here we go. That's it. From spears to pens. Again, a historical survey of the minds of African warrior scholars. Volume 2. Volume 1 and 2. Get your mind right, my people. Get your mind right. This is what we're about to do right now. We're gonna bring in, because man, this has been on my mind, and I want to get this handled. And one of my brothers hit me up with some information that he wanted to share, and it was apropos, because I just couldn't keep watching the news. There we go, my brother Jerry Primm getting in. To watch the news as a journalist, I'm watching this information, watching what's going on, listening to my people, my brothers and sisters out here in the street. There we have my man, my brother Councilman Conwell getting in there. If he, there you go. I was going to say, he was getting some lights. Give me 1 second, Kev, to bring you in.
All right, cool beans, cool beans. But
I really, this was on my heart, this was on my mind, this was on my African spiritual soul. This is getting to be a lot. So I wanted to talk about it. But in the midst of me wanting to address what we're seeing on the news, we're seeing our brothers and sisters gunned down by the police. I wanted to talk about it. I got a call from my good brother, Councilman, Cleveland City Councilman. You see him on here right now, Cleveland City Councilman Kevin Conwell. Me and Kev go back. Anybody knows
what's happening, man?
Before he was a councilman, this was my brother in the dormitories at Kent State University. Freshman, Coates Hall, 7th floor. Till they kicked him out of
room 714.
Till they kicked him out of the dorms for making all that doggone noise on the drums. He's a councilman, but he's a master drummer as well. Kev called me up. Kev is on a mission. Councilman Conwell is on a mission about Judge O'Donnell running for Ohio State Supreme Court. Just to let you know. Oh, and by the way, and Kev Conwell said, you know, I wanna bring my man with me. He said, Chill, do you know Jerry Primm? I said, do I know Jerry Primm? Man, Jerry Primm is one of the most positive, coolest brothers about his business in the city, making
Praise
things
God.
happen.
Praise God.
So I want to say what's up to Councilman Kevin Conwell and Jerry Primm. We'll start with Council. We'll do protocol, if you don't mind, Brother Primm. Councilman Conwell, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me well?
We can hear you.
All right, cool beans.
All right, brother Primm, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank God. Thanks for asking. How are you, big bruh?
Hey man, I'm here, man. I'm having problems, man. I'm trying to deal with this situation, and it's getting to be a lot.
Right. If you let it.
So I wanted to talk about it, but let me before we just and by the way, I've given the Zoom the Zoom link. It's it should be in the actual post. But
Ooh.
I want to set this up first, because what these two brothers are talking about is Judge O'Donnell running for Ohio State Supreme Court. He was the judge in the Mark Brelow case.
Mike Brelow.
Everybody, excuse me, Michael Brelow case, where, thank you, where, and people in Cleveland know it, and is known throughout the nation as 137 shots. Michael Brelow was a police officer. Oh, let me, if you guys don't mind, let me set this up real quick for the people who are not from Cleveland. Back in 2012, correct?
2012.
Right, correct.
2012. A black man, black woman were chased for 22 minutes in their car by a number of police officers. It came to a conclusion in the parking lot of a school in East Cleveland.
Correct.
13 police officers fired 137 shots at two unarmed people, a man and a woman. Jerry and Councilman Conwell, let me know if I'm telling this story incorrect.
No, you got it. You got it right.
You got Timothy Russell and Melissa Williams.
Okay. You need to get your microphone together too. You're a little choppy. I don't know if that's but we'll work it out. But I also want to add, one officer, Brelow, Michael Brelow, among the 137 shots fired by the 13 officers, he himself fired, as it was reported, 49 shots. Oh, hold on. 15 of which after all the shooting had stopped, the other officers had stopped shooting, Officer Brelow moved forward, got on the hood of the car, cowboy style, and fired 15 more shots into the front seat.
Correct.
He was charged. What was it? He was charged for what? Voluntary manslaughter. They settled at voluntary manslaughter. He was charged.
I think he had a felonious assault charge as well.
He was found not guilty.
Right.
15 shots after all the other police who shot 137 shots. Killed these two brother and sister, not brother and sister, black man, black woman. Killed them. After all the shooting had stopped, 137 shots at two people who were unarmed, got on the roof of the car, the hood of the car, excuse me, on the hood of the car, cowboy style, and fired 15 additional shots directly into the front seat. Was found not guilty. The judge on the case is the reason that we're here right now. At this point, Kev, Jerry, whoever wants to take it from here.
And
Let me say this.
Kev, you
Is that we also have to march to the courtroom.
okay, hold on a second, Kev. Kev, you were gonna I know you told me you had some Wi-Fi problems, but you may have to move closer to the router or the Wi-Fi signal, because your picture's frozen and your voice is having issues.
Yeah, I told you, man. Primm, take over.
all right,
Until
all
I
right.
find me a better spot.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So essentially, essentially, Chill, what's happening is he's now using that case to seem like in the other roughly 82, 83 counties to be hard on and to leverage that to get votes to hopefully unseat or to try and unseat Justice Sharon Kennedy on the Supreme Court. So he's using that case to catapult him to the Supreme Court. And so they're banking on the fact that he is a Democrat, a registered Democrat, and an endorsed Democrat, that Black people won't remember 137 shots because it happened so long ago.
Okay, Kev, we're gonna have to get Kev until I'm gonna mute him, Jerry.
Okay.
On the background noise.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so they're banking on the fact that they're hoping that we don't remember that. And so now they're running him on the Supreme Court. And lo and behold, we didn't forget, we can't forget. How can we forget when one man jumps on top of a hood and unloads 49 shots into two people that look like us, and he acquits them, doesn't even give them a slap on the wrist. He got a paid vacation. And so this is a prime example of us being able, as a community, being able to show exactly how important that Black vote is and how we can impact the electorate on a statewide level.
Okay, now let me get this straight. When you say he's running on this, are you saying that he's using this as a positive, or he's just hoping Black people forgot what he's doing?
He's hoping that Black people forgot what he's doing, and then part of the narrative is in certain counties, like you got to realize there's only really two predominantly Democratic counties, and there's roughly a high population of Black people in about 5 counties. There are 88 counties in the state. So if you seem tough on crime in the other 82 to 83 counties, then you can leverage that. You don't even have to say it. Somebody has to say it for you. Right. Yeah, so in the back of their mind, they've implanted that this is an individual who's tough on crime, and the other 82 counties. And so the interesting thing is, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, but go ahead and continue, bro.
Now, I was saying that the interesting thing is that they don't, at the time, they didn't think that we would organize and mobilize and stay focused on him and stay focused on this race. He might be a great guy. He might be a cool person. I don't know, because he didn't make himself available to us. And what I do know is a man who ran through a crowd, jumped on top of a car, and unloaded 3 clips into 2 unarmed individuals. And somebody let that person go. And it was this judge.
And so let me see. I don't know if Kev has it. Let's see. Kev, do you have your microphone together now?
It should be together. Can you hear me better?
We'll see. It sounds good so far. You're a little in the dark though, but we can hear you. You're still a little. We'll see how it works, Kev. Say something else. It's still not
difficult. It's raining also.
You're in and out. Let's try it one more time, Kev. Let me hear what you're saying.
All right. You know, here's the thing. When we march, also, people were marching. Some of the African Americans were inside the courtroom. Isn't that right, Primm?
Absolutely.
And this is what the police do. They try to bench because they didn't want people like Jerry Primm or Kevin Conwell or Kevin Hurd to be
jurors.
Jurors. Okay, so you try to bench. Here's the secret, Kev, and you do that. The CPPA, the Cleveland Police Patrolman Association, they give money, campaign contributions to the judges. They give campaign contributions to them. So O'Donnell and other judges know not to convict because politics is a cash game. They know not to convict the police officers, or they're going to catch it. And the police officers, they have a strong union around the state of Ohio, a strong union. So what we must do as African Americans, when these shots are fired or our people are murdered, instead of just marching.
So I think what he's saying is
we're losing him. We lost you at the end. Jerry has you. Go ahead.
What he's saying is that instead of just marching, now don't get us wrong, we're all for marching because it brings attention to a problem, a challenge. But when we march to that ballot box, now we've held for what you did.
Okay. Now,
and so instead of just,
I'll say you had froze for a second. I'm like, don't you go freezy on me. But
right. Nah, a spectrum today, baby. So
now I do want to say this for the people watching right now. We're gonna, Conwell and Councilman Cleveland City. This is a Cleveland City councilman on here bringing this to the light that he wants to block another Democrat from gaining an office. So, but if anybody knows Kevin Conwell's story, not out of his character to stand up for his people, for Black people, for the people of his ward in the historic Black Glenville neighborhood. People around the country, historians will remember Glenville from the riots back in the day in Cleveland. What year was that? The Glenville riots?
In 1968, July 23rd, 1968.
1968 riots. They were tearing the city down, but it got started in the Glenville neighborhood that Kevin Conwell is now obviously he wasn't there in 1968, but I do want the people to know that when we finish talking to Conwell and Councilman Conwell and Jerry Primm, we're going to open this up just to talk about what's going on throughout the country and police just continuously shooting Black people down, most times unarmed. And I just really want to talk about this and get people's perspectives, because we have people from all over people from Cleveland, but people from over the country. My man, one of the authors of the Kofi Piesie research team, one of the authors of Spears 1 and 2 is already waiting to
great book, man. That's a great book.
Hey, Kev, talk about it. The people need to know about this. And they in the chat, they'll let you know where you can get a hold of volume 1 and 2. So, you know, they're leaving information in the chat. But we're going to talk about.
Can I finish saying this?
Go ahead,
Marching
talk about it.
Marching is great because it shines a light on it. But we need to be in the courtroom also. We also need to vote. So when we vote, we are jurists as well, because this judicial inequality is crazy, man. And then we wonder why the police officers are always let off. We gotta be in that courtroom. A lot of times, Chill, the police officers are in the courtroom and they have a sea of blue, and they intimidate the judge. But the judge needs to look out there also to see us marching in the courtroom, that we're there watching him. And I don't care if he's Democrat or Republican, we need to make him pay. And let me tell you this story. We defeated Judge John O'Donnell in 2016, isn't that right, Primm?
Absolutely.
And we defeated him by 22,000 votes. We had people to march to the polls to vote against Judge John O'Donnell. So the Democrats were warned, do not put this guy back on the ballot. And so going back to what Primm said, they think that we forgot about it. It's insulting to African Americans to put him back on the ballot. It's just like putting Hitler on the ballot, and they wouldn't think about doing that. However, with African Americans, Chill, they didn't care what we thought about anything. They just tell us to go down the ballot. Me, although I am a Democrat, but you know, I'm in love with my people. And if you do that, I'm going to go upside your head and do some swinging and let my residents know I'm going door to door to tell them, do not vote for this man who let Brelo go for murdering 2 unarmed African Americans.
Absolutely.
They just tell us.
Okay, go ahead, Primm. Let me turn down the volume.
At the end of the day, for us to vote, and I love Fred Ward's quote, for us to vote for Judge O'Donnell would be like Black people voting for the judge that acquitted the murderer of Emmett Till. Can't do it. We just cannot do it.
Now, and I want the people to know, for the people who are watching and the people that are going to be watching, about Kevin Conwell. Conwell was he himself stopped by the police as a suspicious individual. But wait a minute, in an area that he himself is the councilman in. It just so happened that this was on the grounds of a college.
Right, Case Western Reserve University.
The famed Case Western Reserve University. He was stopped by police. Kevin Conwell is the councilman of that area.
Looking suspicious.
And he was not, and Councilman Kevin Conwell was not quiet about it.
Not even close.
If they thought he was going to be quiet about it, they had the wrong person. And if I'm not mistaken, Kev, you were on the committee or one of the heads of the committee to pass legislation to even enable those policemen covering that area, I believe, with guns or something like that. You gave them some sort of power.
Well, it's the councilman. You write policy. It's called a memorandum of understanding for them to carry guns. And so I told the police officer, he touched his gun. I said, I give you the authority to carry your gun. If you pull that gun, I tell you what, you guys are gonna be walking around here with nightsticks. So he looked at me like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? You're gonna be the Keystone Cop when I get finished with you. So now they have to write a lot of paperwork when they stop African Americans or pull over African American men. Now they have my poster up there so they know who I am. no, you're not gonna treat me any kind of way. I can't take that. I
But the
can't
thing
take it,
about it,
man.
and they,
Because
if
if we
they,
let them treat us any kind of way, Kev,
go
if
ahead.
we let them treat us any kind of way, it's up to us right now. If we let them treat us any kind of way, then Primm children, my children, and your children have to pay the price.
Right, and as I bring in a couple more people that's standing by, I just wanted to be known that if they can stop Councilman Conwell, because he's a black man looking suspicious, if the councilman in his own council ward, even to the point where, Kev, you looking intimidating enough that they gotta touch their gun
Right.
on the councilman. So, but all that to be said, you guys wanted to talk about blocking this judge who is now running for state Supreme Court.
Right.
I think if I can jump in there, one thing that will happen and that you're going to see happen between now and November the 3rd is that people are going to give you 1,000,000,001 excuses why they should vote for Judge O'Donnell. And, oh, he followed the law. Well, just because it's legally correct doesn't mean that it is not morally corrupt, period. There were many laws that were in the book. It was legally correct to kill 6 million Jewish people in Germany. It was legally correct for us for the Jim Crow, the Black laws, and slavery. It was legally correct, I guess, according to the way Judge O'Donnell did that, but it was morally corrupt. There's no way in the world you can pay me to believe it. So nothing that they can say, nothing that anyone can say to me will make me vote for Judge O'Donnell or stop me. And for the record, I'm not being paid 1 penny on this campaign. I'm not being paid 1 red cent. This one is just about what's in the best interest of the people that look like me. If we don't do anything else this election cycle, we have got to remember, do not vote for Judge O'Donnell.
Now, Conwell, Jerry and I, Brother Jerry Primm and I were talking earlier about how you ride for your people.
Right.
And how part of your power, Councilman Kevin Conwell's power, is that he owes no one other than those black people,
his constituents
in Glenville. He is supported by those black people, those brothers and sisters in the Glenville area, 110%, which gives him the autonomy. And this is not the first time. The first issue that Kevin Conwell has jumped out there on with no fear.
None. Hey, and let me interject. Like Councilman Conwell, I grew up in that neighborhood, so I'm down there often. And it's not uncommon for me to be in the Glenville neighborhood and just to see Kevin walk, period. Walk in his neighborhood and engaging with the constituents in that neighborhood. That's one. Two, I remember one time Kevin and I were down there, we hear gunshots. And now that I think about it 2-3 years later, Kevin's like, all right, man, let's go find out where those shots is coming at. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't have a gun. I don't carry a gun. But Conwell just wants to go make sure that his constituents are safe. And so he's that kind of councilman. And then when it comes down to nobody does this, when he will break with the norm, and let me just put it that way, in order to bring a message that's in the best interest of his constituents. So a lot of people will just like turn around and hide, and they won't do like what Councilman Conwell is doing on this campaign right here. They'll say, I don't want any part of it. Councilman Conwell is saying, no, we are absolutely going to hold this individual accountable. And I am going to write a letter and I am going to knock on doors. For that,
my name.
Yeah, and sign his name to it.
All right, Kev, we losing you again, bro.
Yeah, and he signs his name to it. So he's not just writing a letter and doing it anonymously. He's writing a letter, knocking on 5,000 doors himself, and then signing his name to that letter, which never happens.
All right. Now, before we move on, outside of,
can you guys hear me?
let's give it a shot. Go ahead, Conwell.
All right, here's the other thing that Primm and I did, and some of the bishop, a bit like Bishop Ward. We met at a secret place for the Tamir Rights case. And we went after Prosecutor McGinty. Nobody goes after a prosecutor. And we were able to pull him out and take him out to make him get undefeated. That was structured.
And that was the first time in the history of the United States of America that a prosecutor had been taken out for failure to kill for failure to prosecute law enforcement who killed a Black person. It was the first time in the history of Cuyahoga County that an incumbent prosecutor had ever been voted out of office. First time.
Kevin Conwell is, as a councilman, people talk about politicians all they want to, but there's politicians, and then there's Kevin Conwell. So, you know, this brother just told you he had to meet in secret to plan this one. That's probably why he's in the dark right now.
Hey, no, but we stand with Kevin. Oh. Don't even smell his way.
Yeah.
Even blink his way.
Everybody knows that, you know, we ride for Councilman Kevin Conwell. And, you know, to me, he's that same brother that sat next to me at Kent State University, the Pan-African Studies Department. And he can be a politician all he wants to. To me, he's a drummer. All right. He's a drummer. This is a hell of a councilman. What'd you say, Kevin?
We've done some benefit concerts together, you and I.
We have done concerts. There's times when I've come out of retirement and kicked rhymes with a band, and I went and grabbed Kevin Conwell, said, let's throw a band together, bro, and let's go ahead and rock. And he's always there for me. But politically motivated 100% for the Black people of the Glenville area. And Jerry, you say you grew up in there. Now, people know I ride for Lee Harvard. But I grew up, I was born and came up in the Glenville area.
Right. I didn't know that.
Come on. That's good. 93rd and St. Clair before we moved to Lee Harvard.
Right.
Yeah, on 93rd and St. Clair.
108th and St. Clair. I grew up with Bone, Steve, Stan, you know.
Yeah, Stephen Stanley.
Right.
Better known as lazy and crazy.
No, that's lazy and
Steve is lazy.
And flesh is Stan.
It's Stan. Flesh and bone, lazy bone.
Yeah.
No doubt. I just lost my brother Adam Morgan. I wish he'd have stayed on, but we're gonna let you guys one more time shout out, you know, what you want to say about and we're gonna go ahead and start rocking out with these other brothers.
Okay. Well, the main thing I would want to say is just do not vote for Judge O'Donnell, period. No matter what they tell you, and they're going to come out the woodwork, no matter what they say, do not vote for Judge O'Donnell, period. I'm not putting a commercial on for his opponent. I'm just telling you, Black folks, if you vote for Judge O'Donnell, that would be equivalent to voting for the individual who acquitted the murderers of Emmett Till. And it's just that important. You cannot say Black Lives Matter right now and vote for Judge O'Donnell. He let a guy go who jumped on top of a car. Where's that in police procedure? And unloaded 3 clips into 2 unarmed people. I have so much information. I have the x-rays from Melissa Williams, which I'm not going to release. And just to see it hurts you. We can't forget that. And we have the power as a Black community but not just the Black community. We have the power to send a message that this is unacceptable.
All right, Councilman Conwell, we're gonna let you wrap this up about Judge O'Donnell. Go ahead, brother.
Well, no, I hear people coming on, so I can ask you some questions if you want me to, Chill.
Okay, well, we have, because we're gonna you know, in addition to talking about the 137 shots and the Brelow case, as well as your efforts in the Tamir Rice case, two of these situations that have me even on here today as an overall thing, but those two things took place in Cleveland, Ohio. We have some other brothers on, and my intent was to, you know, I know we wanted to make sure you guys got on and talked about that, but it's in my heart. It's in my African spirit that I have to address just what's going on nationally. What are you saying, Kev? Kev, we losing you again, bro. We losing you again. Hey, what I'm about to do, Kev, is I'm gonna bring on some of these other brothers because I need some people to talk to me about this, to talk to me about what they're seeing, what they're feeling, what they're thinking, where it is, because we have some historians in here, we have some authors in the building. We just got some pissed off brothers. My man Sean in the building, my brother T'Challa up in here, and my man Adam. Let me see if I can get my brother Adam. Adam, if you can take yourself off mute and get your photo in here. I don't know if you can hear me. Adam Morgan. All right. Do you have volume? Okay, he keeps unmuting and muting. Come on, Adam. It's not your first Zoom meeting, brother. All right, Adam. Okay, I think we have him unmiked. Adam, can you hear me? No, he's still. You work it out, Adam. We're going to the brothers from the 1 and 2. We have two of the authors in the building. So, brother Sean, Sean Kalfani, brother T'Challa, I talked to brother T'Challa the other day. We got it in on some other, you know, martial arts stuff. But I'm glad that y'all showed up. And just tell me, I mean, I know we just got through talking about, you know, what we're dealing with in Cleveland. But this is happening all over the country, and it's not new, but it's new to a lot of people who have recently been unaware that these activities were taking place. So, Sean, brother T'Challa, somebody, what are you thinking about? What's on your mind? What's your vantage point? What's the climate?
First, I want to say ETM Hotel, that's welcome in peace. Rennie Sean, that's my name is Sean. I'd like to thank you, Chip, for having me on the panel. Peace to all the brothers on the panel. Hotep, T'Challa, and Chill for always having us. Thank you for supporting and representing Spirits of the Mossy Volume 1 and 2. And next, peace out to LaDosha. I want to say real quick, you know, I want to, you know, take this time to like honor my cousin. She passed last Friday. You know, she died in her sleep. It's kind of tragic. It's hard blowing, but you know, it wasn't nothing COVID related to anything like that. So, you know, we're dealing with that. We'll deal with it tomorrow and for the rest of our lives. It's kind of a big blow to our family. With that being said, man.
And my condolences on that, bro.
Thank you. Just kind of, you know, been sweeping it under the rug a little bit, but you know how people grieve a little differently.
Right.
So I've been trying to stay busy, write, read, work, stuff like that. But the climate is similar to what it has always been when you're talking about a Eurocentric point of view on how to kidnap, enslave, and brainwash a people. This goes back into the earliest years of American history and its creation or its inception. And we have to understand and acknowledge that. We have to go and we have to look at history to see how the behavior is of such. Now, I'm not putting it all on the Eurocentric thought. We're dealing with something that has been a major issue for us for quite some time, and that time is, I think that's Adam. That time is
Okay,
when
let me get Adam together.
our earliest ancestors being brought here against their will, whether it be in South America, Central America, or North America. Specifically North America speaking, since it was the, kind of the tail end of things that happened over here in the West. So when you look at the African in America's experience with slave raiders, so to say, or slave catchers, so to say, this was pretty much the same behavior. You were given a badge or a seal of of approval to go and hunt people who may have wandered off and tried to escape, run, or find their freedom. And psychologically, they told us that we were crazy for trying to run and find our freedom and not stay put and take the punishment that we took. So when they fled, they were tagged or deemed as psychologically sick in the head for running. So with that type of a behavior sets a mind frame of how your worldview now is set, right? So let's go directly to Kenosha, right? Let's go deal with that. I know you talked about the incident with the police dumping the bullets all in the car to people. That was like, oh man, you know what I mean? That was Tamir Rice, you know what I mean? All these things that are happening, Michael Brown, Floyd. So it's so many incidents.
Eric Gardner. It's so many now.
It's so many now
with the names, right?
Right, that's going on. It's people that we haven't even mentioned or
Right.
got to know because other things have spiraled out of control or ran rampant in the media. So real quick, what we're dealing with is racism, white supremacy in a bubble. Racism, white supremacy is vanguarded and protected by police, whether people don't like what I'm saying or do like what I'm saying. This shield defends racism, white supremacy to the core. In order to uphold the supremacy of a people over another, you have to have things in place to be able to dictate your power over another. The police are their female dogs. In the sense, I don't want to cuss on the show. I'm just going to say they're the female dogs in a sense. So white supremacy has been built on control, power, manipulation. Who can we use to help us rule over everybody else? We can create a police force. This police force will infiltrate the minds and the hearts of the people and govern according to our bylaws. Period. This is what we're looking at. So if we want some type of justice in any of this massacre that has happened or the atrocities that have happened to all of our people, we're going to have to get them, as Unc always said, via check. That needs to be cut. And I'm going to stay right there.
All right. Brother Sean, I always appreciate you, and please hang around as we continue this conversation. And I'm proud to say that we have another brother, Bubba, in the building. Another one of the authors of both of these two books. Again, even Councilman Conwell just said, "Man, these heavy books." I've shared this information with the councilman, so we steadily on it, and we have some information about Volume 3 that's in the works. We have an announcement coming soon about that. But we're gonna bring Brother T'Challa up in here just to talk to us for a minute about what's he seeing, what he's feeling, what is his perspective on all of this going on. Because again, I needed some brothers to come on here and talk about this, because this has been weighing on me, man, on my mind, my heart, my spirit, as a Black man, as a soldier, as a warrior, as a scholar, as a journalist. So talk to me, King.
First of all, peace to everybody on the panel. Peace to everybody that's tuning in and that, will be tuning in the archives. We personally really appreciate you, Kev. I've been doing my research on my own, seeing pretty much just how big of a deal you are in the community. I know like you said, we had a good bill, off air on our thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which it is related to what we're dealing with. Because from my perspective, and, people can feel how they feel, we all men on this panel. Your son, your daughter, your brother, your uncle, your niece, whoever, gets shot in the back 7 times, has several officers kneeling on their neck, sleep in their bed and the officer run up in their house. Your nephew is jogging, gets hunted down because somebody don't like the way he look and the color of his skin, by people who are trained with their hands to handle people, supposedly to do what? Serve and protect. But it sounds to me like what our brother Sean was saying is to enslave and punish. As a man who takes pride in handling himself to be able to defend his peace and his home, I think you a flat out sucker if you can't handle yourself without having to resort to such tools to just exterminate life based on the color of their skin. It's unacceptable. It's been happening. And it's a problem when you basically give them the 007 license to kill to just do whatever they want to do. I don't want to be too long, but I was just up this morning late, stressed about a few things, thinking about this situation. Obviously, the situation Brother Jerry Primm and Councilman was speaking on earlier, and just kind of doing some research on just how many instances that have went public about police brutality. I just have a question to pose to everyone that's on the panel, being that, you all are pretty much my elders and big brothers in scholarship. Even Brother Jerry Primm, I don't know him personally, but you know what I'm saying? If you're rocking with Kevin, I'm rocking with you. Let's just put it that way. As a younger man who's, I'm out here in the world, I'm seeing what it is. I'm with y'all being seen as a threat. I want to know from an elder brother's point of view, especially you, Kev, because you know how we get down. Aside from me doing my discipline and meditation and things that I do at home, how do I navigate this world? Right? Knowing that I can handle myself without losing my life and endangering my family and those around me. Right? How do I navigate and not bring the angry Black man in the same fashion that they're bringing the angry white man? right? I know this. I know,
I
Brother
see- I
Primm,
see
he
you,
wanted
Jared.
to tell, he ready to
I
tag
hear
me in,
you.
Coach. Tag me in. But I just want to, you know, what obviously we, you know, you want to be diplomatic. You want to, you know, you don't want to necessarily, you know what I mean, just buck back and be like, but I asked another question and I'll leave it alone. If it was my family member, the world would know this face. I promise you that. Because just is overly excessive with the force that officer used for 7 shots in the back, just as excessive with the force with the 137 shots, 49 being from one individual, 15 on the hood of a car, close range into a windshield. That's beyond ridiculous, yo. That's beyond ridiculous. So how do I, as one who, you know what I mean? Like I gets it in daily. You ask Brother Sean and Brother Vasa. I was just on in the back chat last night talking about what I'm doing late at night. They know me. All I do is train, meditate, eat, study, and write. 24/7, nonstop. So in order for me not to lose my life and endanger the life of my family, what do you all suggest? Because I've been pretty heated lately. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. All right, let me, Jerry, I'm gonna let you. I just want to give you a little extra to this brother's perspective. This brother is a martial artist, and Brother T'Challa, I want to let you know that Brother Primm is also learned and studied in the martial arts as well. And while Councilman Kevin Conwell, as far as I know, doesn't study martial arts, but he don't take no stuff as a man, and he done found himself in a couple situations where he has had to express his manhood in a way that they may not have heard Councilman speak. And it's been times where he's called me up. It was like, Kev, I know you saw that information they put in on me in the Plain Dealer. That's our major metropolitan newspaper. I need the black people. I need you to go into your newspaper, and I need backup, because they're not used to hearing me talk like that and say these things, and they done painted it in a different picture. But Kev, I'm gonna let you back in there. I want to say what's up to my brother, Delvis Valentine. Very outspoken brother, very opinionated. And that's my man. So when Delvis and I are in these meetings, that's my sergeant at arms. Not officially, but if it's some problems, I know I got me and I got Delvis.
Oh yeah.
So we gonna get back to you, Delvis, and I'm gonna bring in Brother Larry Gardner, LG Jr. Oh my God, who has his own radio show, and you talking about opinionated and angry. We gonna have to deal with when I let this brother in. But Jerry Primm, you heard what he was saying, and you know what he was saying. You know where that was coming from.
Absolutely.
And I saw your hand up.
Right. Absolutely.
Go ahead, take your turn.
First of all, I would say is, one, we don't want to lose that anger. We don't want to lose that energy. We want it. We need it. We need to feed off of it. As martial artists, we're trained to meet and overcome any obstacle in our path, right? But the reality of it is a lot of stuff that we're trained to do is felonious assault. Let's just keep it 100. We use it. We are absolutely going to jail. Make no mistake about it, right? But what you can do is take that from a physical vantage point and use it on a very spiritual vantage point or a political vantage point. If you notice, I didn't say anything. I'm trained as a martial artist. When I see a punch come at me, I meet it, right? If it can actually hit me, I meet it, period. And I'm gonna stop it, period. Just like any other martial artist, right? I'm either get out the way, redirect it, or I'm gonna hit it, right? So I stayed focused on one thing, which was what? John O'Donnell. Judge John O'Donnell. That's it. That's martial arts 101 right there. I didn't look over here at the magic hand that they try to throw at me. I didn't follow the rabbit that went down the street. I stayed focused. So that's how we do that, right? And then two, what I do is I literally sit and I study. It is nothing like an educated, disciplined individual. You can't even study martial arts. You won't last 6 months if you don't have discipline. So there is nothing like an educated, and education does not equal college degree. Make no mistake about it. There's nothing like an educated, studied, disciplined Black man, right? And so study stuff that are examples of how we actually made civil rights goals that we accomplished in the past. Read a letter from Birmingham jail. Read a unexampled courage about the Isaac Woodard case and see all of the people who helped to meet and overcome those obstacles. When I walked into the room, I'm like extremely excited because I built bridges because I've studied. I built bridges with other communities because we cannot do it ourselves. We can't do it ourselves. I go to these boring meetings, super boring meetings, right? Because I have to build relationships in order to help people who look like us. And I don't make any apologies for it. I'm for what's in the best interest of the Black community. First and foremost, I'm Black. But study examples. And then you'll see, like, one thing that they did a really good job of was disconnect us from our, hold on. Did I hit the mute?
No, now you hit the mute.
Okay. One thing they did a good job of was disconnect us from the people who actually made real life civil rights. They moved obstacles that are in our path. They didn't teach us to look at the history of, like, did you know that in the very first civil rights, major civil rights case in this country, Orson Welles was the one who brought the attention to it so that they could find the police officer. Remember back in 1946, we were talking about police officers, right? And I'm not anti-police for the record, but they were talking about the sheriff that beat Isaac Woodard, Sergeant Isaac Woodard, over his head and then took his ass baton and gorged out his eyes, right? They couldn't figure out who this person was. Orson Welles was the individual who put it on his radio show, who put it on his radio show that caused the leads to come in to tell them exactly where that was. We have to build those kind of relationships. But until you read a book like Unexampled Courage, how do you know what they did in the past to make these civil rights, to meet these civil rights goals, if that makes any kind of sense. Right. So for me, I'm taking all of that energy. I love that energy, but I redirect it because at the end of the day, there is nothing like education doesn't equal degree. An educated, disciplined Black man walking in who's done their homework and has clear examples of and precedents of how to meet and overcome those obstacles that are in our path. I love it every time I walk in a room, and I'm a digress. I sit still now.
All right, now I want Larry. I see you with your hand up, and let me tell you, Larry Gardner might be the most pissed off man in Cleveland, Ohio. I just want y'all to know that. When y'all see that he's smiling now, but that ain't how, you know, he normally got like a real scowl on his face, and he'd have been kicked off of Facebook, the FCC. He done got thrown out of Black journalist meetings because he's an angry man. He's not happy about what's going on. But I want to bring Brother Vasa up in here real quick, and then I got to holler and Councilman Conwell, if you want to just jump in and say something, and I got to get with my man Delvis, and then we're gonna circle back around. But Brother Vasa, if you want to unmute your mic again, same thing, man. How you feeling? What you seeing? What's the climate? What's in your spirit as a black man in America right now, seeing all this that we are dealing with time and time and time again, from history to right now?
Peace, gentlemen, and listening audience, and thank you for the pleasure to be here at the moment. I'm blown away just listening to you, gentlemen. To be honest, I'm really enjoying listening to you, brothers. My feelings towards this climate can be expressed in the chapter of my part of the part two of these series that we're putting out with I don't want to hang here anymore, which was, you know, an indirect way of attacking the word lynching and hanging. When I look at this and I see the constant pattern of this, no matter on what end of the spectrum our brothers are, whether they standing upright in every way of morality, or if they lowest of the low, you know, just to be honest, you know, they mind is not in the right place, to see that it really don't matter when it comes to these specific groups of people. We've seen to always be at the other end of that barrel, the wrong way throughout the history of this country, and even before they formed, you know, quote unquote, the United States, you know, as we call this country. To feed off what Sean was saying earlier, how it was built on this system, if you look into the early time periods, when bringing you over here, you're in bondage, and those who weren't in bondage are developing themselves. You're intelligent, you're strong, you can survive, you have all these beautiful traits about you. So if you escape from their power, they had absolutely no way to obtain you again under their power. One of the people that I like to bring out is King Miguel. This brother was literally, if you look at the records, this is the first African American king. He breaks away from their power and he establishes a system of policing. He's making sure the babies are safe. He did everything he was supposed to do. You find that story as well, as much as you find our trials and tribulations. The one thing I don't see anybody really highlight and talk about, and I would like to see you gentlemen's perspectives, because maybe you'll know more about this, especially in legal matters, is the pacification of the African American, or the African in the American experience, the pacification process. Through all these trials and tribulations, what have been their mechanisms to kind of pacify the moment? And when we start analyzing that pattern within itself, I think that's when we'll have a new weapon to really strike back for the first time. Me personally, because it is in that pacification process. And what I mean by that, do we need to stop? Do we need to continue trading our reality for the American dream? That's what I'm saying. They keep selling us an American dream, but we have our own reality and we keep trading it, thinking that it's going to change, thinking that's what's going to be the means to power. And it's not to knock any of our brothers and sisters who have done the work to get us able to live the lives we live at the moment. But how long do we have to live under the umbrella of their dream and their ideas and their worldview when we can create our own? And I think when we unravel that pacification process and we see the real bigger picture, that's where my heart is. You know, it's hard to retain the anger I really feel, because I don't want to get disrespectful up here and bring out the dog in me amongst gentlemen. But my father was verges away from being the first Black deputy and sheriff in the city he grew up in. He gets hired on at the department, solves a murder case within his first week of working there, and the reward was him coming home with a neck brace, lost his job, and told out of all the officers to arrive at a McDonald's that day, he's the only one that had to pay for his food. Y'all figure out the rest of the story. I'm 6 years old, so from that moment on, cops were no longer heroes in my mind, because this started the chain of events that led my dad's pride being broken, and now I no longer have a father in the house. He moves to the other side of the world to escape his reality and get away from the racism. Now I'm stranded with them knowing what kind of stories and men I come from, I'm a new target. I don't have no protection. But if I reach my potential of becoming a great man and a leader, he's a threat. So I went through that aspect of police brutality. I heard the brother say he got pulled over. I believe it was another brother named Kevin. Said he got pulled over and he's the councilman of his area. He's
Right.
14 years old, broad daylight. Get pulled over by the police standing on my front porch. How do you get pulled over standing on your porch? Burnt my face on the car, dragged me all up and down the street in front of the people saying I had a rocket in my shorts, a real live RPG running around stealing out of white people's garages. So I know these things, you know, and that killed a part of me. I'm 14, 15 at the time. Parts of me died with that moment because I know what goes on. And that's just a nice story. So I got a lot of anger behind this. But one thing I do really want to see in my lifetime is a thorough body of work for us to look at within these next generations of our pacification process. What did they use to pacify us through these things? Because if we can see that that's not working, then when we start talking reparations and all the other aspects of us getting our equality, like my brother T'Challa always speaks about, we ain't never gonna be free as long as we speak in English. We just won't, because we still under their domain of thought. You know, so I want to branch into those conversations because it's easy to highlight when we're disconnected, and what I mean by disconnected is we have our warriors, they shut us down, then we got to restart with the next generation. And often they have to do it on their own. By the time they catching up to be aware, they already in their manhood, and it's too late to know all the things you should have known. So we keep losing in that loop when we look at the mass numbers of our brothers and sisters. I'm not speaking about you individuals, but when we look at just the norm, that's kind of where it is. You know, that's why we say you conscious, you woke, and these little things we say amongst ourselves. Oh, he gets it. Oh, she's up. She right on, sister. You know what time it is. That's where those little moments come from.
Right.
So if we looked at that pacification process and we, you know, we really, really analyzed the back end of not what they did to us, but what they did to make us kind of forget. What did they do to make us say, oh, okay, we'll get over it? And if we can look at those and weigh the two and say, well, what they giving us is worth no longer fighting, no longer being mad, no longer saying we ain't gonna take it, and someone can convince me that that's worth it, then all my anger will dissipate. But until then, it's middle fingers up towards them. That's just how I feel. How many times we got to see it? So I don't want to get too long with it. I was trying my best not to get disrespectful because I got a lot of anger towards it. Because you can just think after name, baby after baby.
No, I feel you, brother, and I appreciate it. And believe me, I understand where you're coming from. And I want to, you know, tell you and tell brother T'Challa, man, just always be conscious of the fact that the enemy is an expert. You know, the enemy is an expert. Maybe not the followers, but the leaders. They're experts in divide and conquer. You see how they've time and time again dismantled powerful Black organizations. Most of the time by infiltration. But you know, we'll get into that. But I want to get to my man Delvis and Larry's. He like his head's on fire. You know, I like to make you smile because that brother, we're gonna get to you, Larry. We know that you got the highest level of pistivity. I hear it on your radio show. Bruh, Larry, sometimes I have to call you on your show, man, say, bruh, don't let them do you like that. Like you on the air. I'm like, Larry, roll it back some, bruh. I want him to put you off the air again.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful for voicing the nerve that I'm not worried. I think that one of the reasons that I'm not in mainstream media is because, you know, sometimes me and my co-host, the Queen with the Gold Mike, Jay Price, get real with it, and something has to be said and something has to be heard. You know.
Right now, hold on, LG. I don't want to interrupt you, bro, but we got to get. I'm gonna go to my man Delvis next, but
Hey, Kev.
yeah.
If you don't mind, let Larry go ahead and while he talk, let him go ahead and do what he do, and I'll just come behind him if you don't mind.
Okay. All right, go ahead. He passed the mic to you.
Thank you, Delvis. By the way, happy belated birthday to you. And my birthday was actually this past Tuesday.
So let me ask you this, Larry. I know I hear you. I tune into your show. You're one of my good members of the Greater Cleveland Association of Black Journalists. You're a member in good standing as the president of that organization. We need soldiers like you in the building, this always ready to speak their mind, that we guaranteed it as a member of the media, although sometimes you may consider yourself not a member of the media, as an outsider of the media, but brother, you 100% Black media in Cleveland, whether you like it or not.
Right.
I don't know what you consider yourself as, bro. You on the radio, letting them have it all the time. So, and I hear how worked up you get over, what's happening. And I just want you to know that sometimes when I drop you a line, bro, just to walk you back down, is not to extinguish your fire. It's just, I want your voice to be on the air. That we need you out there. We need you in the game. And but go ahead and do your thing, bro. How you feeling about what's going on? What your people saying on your platform? How you dealing with it? You down at the forefront. You down there where they protesting and people throwing stuff. I see you down there, bro. Talk to me, Larry.
First of all, I would like to the previous brother Visar. I understand your anger. And I understand others. I know Delvis. Jerry's been on with Jerry Primm, first of all, been on my show plenty of times, and brought candidates to my show that are worthy candidates. And he's always been me and like when I have talks with you, Chill, I also have talks with Jerry, and Jerry, I probably pretty much know that, I'm like, he like, what's up, bro? You all right? Like, you know what? He's like, like them come to Jesus meetings that I had to have, and it's good to have them with brothers. The thing about it is that I'm actually here at the clearing in the Beechwood, setting up the little thing that I'm going to have later, a little set that I'm going to have later for my 45th birthday. I mean, the thing about it is the first thing I turned on, it was an HBO special. Y'all probably will remember the Reverend Al Sharpton, with Yusef Ferguson and the people that killed Yusef Ferguson. One of them, if getting this wrong, please correct me. And it was when Reverend Al Sharpton was stabbed. And it's like, it talk about no justice, no peace. And sometimes, the reason that I go at the enemy like I do is because of the simple fact of the matter is, for over 40 years, and my father's been doing it, and Chill, my dad.
One of my OGs, and that's Yusef Hawkins.
Right, Yusef Hawkins. Okay, Yusef Hawkins. Thank you. So the thing about it is that he's been, he believes in Brother Malcolm. My grandmother believes in Brother Martin, his mother, late great Ophelia Gardner, who went after, Bull Connor, the real scums of the earth who want to just not eliminate all Black people, but put us in our place. And I think that, when more studying it and studying everything as far as everything that's going on in the media journalism, there's few of us African-American, few of us Black journalists pretty much left that'll tell it the real way. I saw both the DNC and unfortunately I saw the RNC. And I'm like that we seen the contrasting difference. The RNC last night to me was a clown show. And the leader of the circus, which is the current occupant at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, everybody call him President Trump, was, 4 or 5 said something about, I did more for Black people than, and I almost, my pretty little TV in my bedroom almost got smashed by my own hand, because I didn't want to hear that junk. The thing about it is like, no one's acknowledged, you know, the kid that got shot 7 times. He hasn't acknowledged, you know, George Floyd, except making that unemployment is being lowered during this pandemic, which is a lie. The thing about it is that all the protests and everything else, the marches that I've been a part of, I saw the thing today on Facebook Live with the National Black Convention, you know, being on at Washington, DC. You know, the problem is that we need more people uprising for us. And no matter light skin, dark skin, whatever, we need more people uprising for us. The problem is, and more coverage, the problem is that we are whenever one of us gets murdered by officers of the law that's supposed to protect all citizens regardless of, when one of us gets murdered, then they want to pull up past records of what we've done in the past, knowing good and hell well, that those same officers also had problems. You know, we can go back to Euclid, you know, the same guy had problems, you know, and I have to explain the hardest part about it is, since I'm a father, I got to explain this to my 8-year-old son. And I was with him this past Sunday with my mother. Funny thing, but he said something true. He said, you know what, like I put it on my wall after I was released from Facebook jail.
Yeah.
That I put it on my wall, and this is funny. You can go to it. Was like when I was in, like he was in the back seat, I was in the passenger seat. My mother was driving, and the thing about it is like, you know, what would like I had to record this because he was saying some stuff, because me and my mother was talking about Kamala Harris being selected, and as an African American woman, she was proud that she was selected vice president. She was proud. She was beaming with pride, and I'm like, they're coming after her. She's like, I don't care. And then my son, my 8-year-old, just chimes in saying, you know, Donald Trump is horrible. And I had to turn around. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Back up a little bit. What did you say about Donald Trump? He's like, Daddy, don't get mad at me. Donald Trump is horrible. I didn't record it, but then he was like, you know, what would make Donald Trump upset? I was like, what? He said, just go up to the microphone and say, I miss Obama. And as much as I love what he said, it's that when your 8-year-old son is aware, not fully, but between me and his mom, you know, if your 8-year-old son is aware of what's going on as far as around it, seeing it every single day, and more cases have been rampant of police brutality to where we don't even make it to court. You know, I'm like, can the brother make it to court? I'm surprised. The brother that got shot 7 times, I'm glad that he's alive, even though he might be paralyzed from the waist down forever. I'm just glad he's alive. They still hadn't arrested the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. You know,
That's gonna be a problem. But go ahead, Larry.
I mean, it's to me, it's a lot. It's just, you know, it's a lot, and it's a lot to deal with psychologically, especially when you have to raise a young child during this turbulent time. In this turbulent time, and then like the thing about it is like every single day that I get up and I have to share something on my page, or I have to do a Facebook Live, or I have to go on my show every week. Can't kill. Like the thing about it is, I'm reporting this bad news for African American people, and it's disheartening because we helped build this country. The riches of white America came off the backs of slaves, came off the backs of our ancestors. And until, like, the thing about it is, we'll still have problems unless we get rid of the DNA of systematic racism. And that means on all fronts, not just law enforcement, journalism, corporate America, pretty much everything.
Sean say we didn't help build it, we did build it.
Yeah, we built this. We not only we built this, but look at the Hiltons, look at all the rich Caucasian families. They use slaves. And they built their fortunes off of our backs. And I feel like reparations should have been there. And if they said, and if the powers that be said that they can't do it, what about the stimulus checks? Y'all found a way to get those out to everybody. We deserve reparations. The only way out of some of these situations is to get rid of systematic racism. And I always use this, and my father always uses, sometimes you got to pay what you owe. You got to pay what you owe. You owe us reparations for all the years that you have destroyed generations of families, broken them apart, lynched us, murdered us, robbed us, killed, lynched us, murdered us, robbed us, took our women away from our homes, took the men out the home. That's what you like. You need to pay what you owe. And America owes African Americans a big debt, and they need to write that check real soon. Otherwise, and otherwise, it's going to get worse. And I don't want it to get worse for my son. I felt like when I had a child, that none of this racism would go away. It hasn't. The only reason is that it's been more rampant because social media has instant news. So my thing is that there's this, like the system. I mean, the thing about it is defunding police. Say we defund police, we need to put money for economic opportunities for everybody in the inner city neighborhoods to have people take advantage of them. The only thing that the only color in my mind that has never been discriminated against is green. That's the color of money. This is the capitalist society. And the thing about it is like they make money off of us via prison. They make money, the government makes money off of us being downtrodden. I mean, even the president himself, it says, I want to keep certain people out the suburbs. And he's not talking about people that look like him. So the thing I want to say is that we need change. We've been need change, marching, love it, but I'm hearing the same no justice, no peace as I heard on that special on HBO, and that was back in 1990, and I hear the same thing now. So, and that's what, this is 2020, that's 1990. So we've been need change. The bottom line is that we need immediate change. First thing, this is my opinion, first thing immediate change is November 3rd, everybody vote that fool out of office. Second change is that whoever's in there to replace him, whether Biden, Harris, African Americans need to give them a solid plan to let them know that we're not playing, otherwise you're next. And then we need to, and then people like Judge O'Donnell should have never, ever been on the bench after releasing a murderer. And more of them should have been charged. And the thing about it is I'm sick and tired of watching elected officials abuse their power. This is the main thing, abuse their power for themselves and not for the benefit of the people, but lie and say that they will. I know you can't please everybody, trust and believe, I know. But the thing about it is like some of this stuff we need to, like some African Americans, we need to stop falling for the banana in their tailpipe too. I was sick about Herschel Walker being up there. First of all, I don't even know where they found him. They dusted him off somewhere. You know, the other guy, Vernon, you know, screaming at the top of his lungs about independent thinking. Well, he's not independent thinking at all. And then, you know, I like Kyron Smith. We need to get with them and say, hey, during this time that you were up there speaking for President Trump, did it ever occur to you as an African-American man, as a Black man in America, that they never brought up the guy that got shot in the back 7 times by police officers? No matter what happens, it's like no matter what his past record was, he is innocent until proven guilty. We need to put, we need to put our people over party, no matter Democrat, Republican, or independent. I feel like we need to put our people over party and put the right people in place that look like us, that want to do right by us as far as African Americans.
All right, now let me tell you something, Larry, and you know what, that whole no justice, no peace, man, that's growing old with me, bro. You know, because there hasn't been any justice,
right?
And for the most part, there has been peace. As far as what is, I mean, you know, we might, you know, have a little couple dust ups here and there. For the most part, you know, no justice, no peace. It's just no justice. Because we've been peaceful. And there hasn't been any justice. But that's another conversation. But
I just got one last thing. I mean,
go ahead.
Before I go, I'm just gonna say this. It's like it's been like, you know, sometimes dust ups here and there, you know, even though I don't like riots and stuff getting broke, but sometimes it got the attention of corporate America, didn't it?
Right, I got you. And what I'm saying is that we rise and we fall. You know, it's a fad. We get up and we get some bandanas, or we rock like certain t-shirts, or we get sayings, and then we back to, we back sleep again. But I do want to tell everybody on this panel, this brother's dad, I mean, when he's talking about all the information that his dad has imparted him, his dad was an OG in my neighborhood in the city of Cleveland. And as one of the big dudes, the grown dudes in the neighborhood, he was one of them cats that would impart knowledge, and it would mostly be about, some Black Pan-African nationalist information. And I was thankful to grow up in a neighborhood in a Cleveland proper, not the suburbs. Nothing wrong with the burbs.
No,
I'm sitting in the burbs right now. But what I'm saying is, in the neighborhood, we had, OGs. You think of it, they were kids themselves, but they had the knowledge to impart that type of game to the younger brothers in the neighborhood. So yeah, your dad was one of them dudes, man, in my neighborhood, and I appreciate that. Delvis, my man, Delvis is from my neighborhood. He graduated with me from high school.
Yes, sir.
Never, ever bit his tongue. Not one day in his life.
Now,
go ahead, Delvis. How you feeling right now? What you saying? Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm not going to be too long because it's getting late, but I'll say this. Ironically, I retired from sports journalism in December last year. And then we have all the things that's going on, all these crises. And the unfortunate thing is that it seems like it's the athletes that are being leaders of movements instead of elected officials, instead of elected leaders of civic organizations. And I think that's a big problem. We are electing some of these officials, Congress, mayors, city council, wherever. And if you look at the track, Kevin Conwell, you see he puts in work. You'll see Blaine Griffin puts in work. But a lot of them cats, they ain't putting in no work. So we have to use our vote to our advantage. And if we don't, we're going to still be just like how on the Jetsons, we're going to be running on the treadmill and not going anywhere. We have to have an agenda. I think that's what's been lacking. And there was all of this momentum after the Million Man March, and then it seemed like it fizzled. And what needs to happen is it needs to be an examination. What happened? The man called and 1 million Black men were in DC. We were moving in the right direction, and all of a sudden everything stopped. What happened? And now we see the LeBron James, at the forefront of different movements. Far as, even when you look at with the NBA, they said they weren't going to play anymore. That stopped everything like what? And it got some attention. So the athletes are doing their part, but what about these leaders that we elect in government and civic organizations? Their silence means that they're complicit and they're guilty. And one other thing I have a problem with, I'm a military guy. I don't know if anybody else is. And these militia, our wannabe military guys, they won't go in the military or haven't been in the military because them cats that they will be fighting have guns back. If you these militias, they go to the peaceful protest, unless it's something like what they did in Columbus. But they knew that the cops weren't going to do anything with them. They come in with their AR-15s. Cops are on, excuse my French, sissy silence. But if you think about it, the cops and the militia are on the same side. We don't know what to do, and that's why we're having so many problems with cops, which is another reason why we have to really use our vote to our advantage to get these do-nothing mayors out of there, because these do-nothing mayors are hiring do-nothing police chiefs that are being held by, you know, by the nuts, by the police unions, instead of standing up to the police unions. We've had the same two dudes leading the Cleveland Police Union for years. And they're so racist, because I tell people, if you think, a perfect example of racism is that Black cops had to form the Black Shield because they weren't getting right representation from the CPPA. That's a problem. So the law enforcement structure needs to be uprooted. It has to be uprooted, because it's too many times. I mean, you can count it. Think about it. Remember when the Black guy killed the white woman in Minnesota, the cop? He went to trial, got convicted with the quickness. It hasn't happened that many times. I mean, how many times are Black young men and Black young women, how many times are they going to keep on going through this stuff, and we're not addressing root issues such as the structure of law enforcement, which, really wasn't designed for us, but we still need to make this work, and we need to utilize our vote and get these bum politicians out of here and these bum leaders of some of these civic organizations. They either squat or get off the pot.
Now, I do want to say, and thank you, Delvis, but I want to say, and we all know that real change starts with our young people. You know what I'm saying? When we do see the struggle elevate, it's not because of politician, it's not because of judge or president, or it's because some young people with some fire, with some attitude, that they tired of this, and a lot of times are fearless, are pushing the buttons. But it's what happens after that. It's the momentum, it's action, it's organization, and it's what are we gonna do with this movement? What are we gonna do with this fire? What were we gonna do when we had 1 million people at the million? I was there. I was there at the million. I mean, I was there as a journalist, and I was there as a Black man.
Well, what do you think happened, Cam?
Well, and I've written about this. I wrote about it before we had the march, leading up to the march. As a member of the Black media, I wrote about what I saw was there. I wrote about what happened afterwards and what didn't happen afterwards. That's another conversation, but it's planning and organization and movement and action items, not just meeting to be meeting with purpose and well thought out, at least, and plus with a knowledge of history. And that's, let me tell you one more time. I know y'all like chill, but let me tell you something. I'm gonna keep throwing up these books. All right. You got to know where we come from, what has already happened, the real information about what took place historically, the mindset that, and I always say, we need these books are talking about the viewpoints of a warrior scholar. We don't often have both of those things together. Sometimes we have warriors and we know what happens to them at the end. Sometimes we have scholars. And oftentimes they get discredited. But it's not often that we have both of those things together. And that's why I continue to push these brothers, right here for people to get down with this information. It's a lot. And I want to go to Jerry, and I want to go back to Sean. But I want to say from my heart, I have a son, senior in college. My son has probably been close to 6 feet tall when he was 15, 14. So walking around, he looked like a grown dude. And now, Delvis, I'm from the neighborhood that you from. But right now I'm in the suburbs. My kids grew up for the most part, in this, they got some Lee Harvard in them still. But and Jerry, you know what I'm saying, bro.
Right, I do.
Because we talk.
Right.
But this story's been this day and age has to have that talk with his son. To say this is what they see you as. You are a threat, especially if you have some information. But at the end of the day, it's not even about information. It's who they perceive you to be before they even get a chance to know you. And my son is the nicest, most respectful, mannerable dude on the planet. And also a martial artist. At the end of the day, he also ain't gonna, and he didn't have to, do his thing at an early age. And if my son had to do that, it was a situation where it wasn't nothing else to be done, because he's the most respectful, disciplined young dude. I'm very proud of that. But my point is, for us to have, we have to have that conversation. We have to let them know this is how they see you. This is how they want you to react. This is what is expected of you for who you are, for your community, for your people, for your family. That sounds like Bruce Lee. For the Shaolin Temple.
My family.
And you have offended my family and the Shaolin Temple. Hey, Bruce, but this is the Shaolin Temple. Right there. But and I fear for my son every day that he's out in this world. No matter what I taught him, I know what people are gonna, and he got little dreads going. Hey, I know what they're gonna see when they see him. They don't know who he is. They don't know his heart. They're not gonna care. And it's just on me. That's why I just wanted, some black people just to talk to me today. And LaDosha, I see you in the chat. I know just because we got brothers on here. Hey, come on now. Grab the link. Jump in here. Need my BFF in the house. Come on, Dosh. I know you cheering from the sidelines. No, we cheering you. Get up in here. So, Jerry Primm, talk to me, man.
If I could interject, with the work that I do politically, like, one, I never wanted to get engaged ever. But this is a direct reflection of what happened in the Million Man March. Again, let me say this again. When if you Google it, Prosecutor McGinty, the Black community in Cuyahoga County takes credit for him being removed from office, right? I was responsible for the Black community. This was an opportunity for us, all of us, to vote out a prosecutor who failed to indict a person who killed a 12-year-old boy. That was awesome. That was the very first time it happened in the history of the United States of America. That's a direct reflection of what happened at the Million Man March. To go back to our community and organize. and to hold people accountable. And we held them accountable to like a monster. Additionally, in 150 years of having Cuyahoga County, that was the first time that and the only time that an incumbent prosecutor had been removed from office.
Okay, Jerry, are you trying to tell me that we removed McGinty because of the Million Man March?
Hold on, look, I'm telling you that I was at the march.
I was at the
I
march.
walked from front to back to
that
back
march
to
was
front.
a long way away from Tamir Rice getting shot.
No, hold on, look.
But in space and time.
But we spent time, like, so for what energizes me was going to that march. When you look at what I did with my children and me raising my children, I got my son turned down Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Columbia, chose to go to Brown and graduated. Got another son that just graduated from Baldwin Wallace College. Got a daughter that just is a freshman at Spelman College.
Good kids too, by the way. You got great kids, man.
Praise God, praise God. But when we look at it, I took that oath that we all took at that march seriously. I took it very seriously. When I come back here, you know me. Everything I'm about is about holding people accountable, starting with myself. And that was what
you done fussed me a couple times.
Right. Hey, look, you know, Kev, I'll call you in a heartbeat.
You done fussed me a couple times.
Right? I'm like, hey, look, not just them, judge for yourself. Go after, if you smell like you are adverse to the Black community, that's what we agreed, right? At the Million Man March, right? That we were gonna hold people accountable. So if you're adverse to the Black community, you expect to see Jerry Primm right there, like, hey, what's up, right? From Judge, I did the last time that Judge O'Donnell ran, I did the campaign against him. Tim McGinty did that one against him. Judge O'Donnell again this time did that one against him. Judge for yourself. I lined up against them and forced change. So when we look at that, I can't be dismissive because I know what was implanted in me. When I took that oath that we all stood there on that mall and took, I took that very seriously, extremely serious, probably too serious, right? Because at the end of the day, I ain't backing down. I'll be like, eh. So that's what I had to say about that.
Sean, how you feeling, man?
Man, to be honest, I think that I have a lot of mixed emotions because the social media desensitizes us because it's on there so much so that, you know, we expect and we get used to it. I'm with you on it's been all peace, no justice, but it's just us. And I wrote about this before in articles before where it's just us. There's no other people that we could think of in any time in history that is suffering more than we're suffering and dealing with the things that we're dealing with consistently at the hands of people who have oppressed us. And we act angry, and then it wears down, and then another incident happens, and then it sparks back up, and then it wears down, and then, you know, it happens again. It's the roller coaster ride, right? Well, they know just exactly who they're dealing with. They know it so much so that they can predict how much damage will be caused by an incident. They can predict it. Then they can dictate to it. Because in the state of Tennessee, if you protest, guess what they want to do?
What's that?
Take your voting rights. They had a bill in the House about protesters protesting. They want to strip you of your voting right. And this didn't go worldwide on the news. This made some small circuits. This should have been all over everywhere. What the hell you mean take our voting rights for protesting? We have this so-called First Amendment. Remember, y'all, hey, Europeans, y'all real big on First Amendments.
That's right.
Second Amendments and the whole 9 yards. Y'all scream more for that Second Amendment than that First Amendment when it comes down to it. So now you want to take the voting rights for protesting. They know the game that they're playing. Like you said, they're perfectionists in their craft. Bro, they have it dictated down to a science. I don't want to rub anyone the wrong way, but there's a reason why they know how to push our buttons and control the minds. It's the one tool that they've been using since we've been enslaved. We're so forgiven, and we're taught that. We're taught to forgive. We're taught to turn the other cheek. We're taught to look the other way. We're taught to tell on our own selves. We're taught to be obedient and serve thy master. This is where it comes from. We gotta get to the root of the problem, Black people. We have to really look ourselves in the face. If we're in the fight, to be into the fight, then it can't be about nothing else but what we stand to lose or what we stand to gain. And nothing else should matter outside of that. The primary focus is future. I asked this question in Brother Ben's journal, the first Pan-African journal that was published in the conscious community. I said, what will history say about our time? What will be written? I asked it again on Facebook. What will be written? What will be said about our time in history? This is our moment. Now, y'all may be a little bit older than me, but that's cool. You ain't that much older than me. But this is still our time. This ain't really a whole youth movement like people think, because we were youths, but we didn't have the complexity of the internet the way that we have it today, or we would have that same outrage coming through there. But we dealt with things. We dealt with Rodney King. You know what I mean? We dealt with the suicide bomber goes in there and blow up everybody, all them kids in a daycare or whatever it was. We dealt with 9/11. You know what I mean? We saw things that we could see, but what we did see was police brutality consistently in our neighborhoods. People on the corner getting yoked up, slammed, beat to the concrete, never made any news, but we knew those people. They were around the corner from us. Heck, I even participated in some of the activities that was on the corner for a long time. My cousin was dragged by a police officer while another one told me to not look. He's dragging my cousin. My cousin is in handcuffs. He slams him on the hood of the car, the concrete, black both his eyes, knock his teeth out, breaks his jaw, kicks him. I'm not supposed to be looking. I'm in handcuffs to be let go because they couldn't find nothing on me and my money was in my wallet. Had my money not been in my wallet, they would assume otherwise. My cousin was a small lawsuit against the state. He gets some money out of the thing, and he gets that whole charge wiped away. Police officer gets a slap on the wrist. He turns around, continues to do the same behavior, but next thing you know, he ups the ante. He becomes the drug dealer. He starts to take the drugs from the people in the community, resell them back on the street, and get his money until the police actually catch up to him, and then they take him down for that. So what I'm saying to you is they know our game because of the way we have always responded in history. That is why Martin Luther King said in his last speech that I think I may led us astray. I'm not quoting him verbatim, but in those words, similar to those words, he felt like he had misguided us after so long because he was fighting for the wrong things. And he started to see that we needed more. And as soon as you need more, trouble follows you. It happens to all our leaders. So now, you mentioned warrior and scholar. Well, we don't have a choice anymore. We got a front line to fight, and we got to write our own history. Period. Because we are of the mindset that, yeah, we're going to stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, but there's something that they left us behind that we can pick up on and carry forth, and that is to use our spear and our pen. Period. I'm gonna chill out. No
Hey,
pun intended.
I appreciate that, brother, and I'm glad you brought about. We have to tell our own story, and just like I said that Larry sometimes, and he gets upset when I call him LG Junior, but just like Larry sometimes doesn't consider himself a journalist. I don't know if Delvis all the time considers himself a journalist. But between the two of these brothers, and Delvis had a radio show for a long time. And although his radio show was about sports, oftentimes Delvis was not on there talking about sports. A lot of the times he wasn't talking about loosely sports are related, but a lot of times he's giving the perspective that Black media was created to have, and I need to make sure that I get this information out to my fellow journalists, is that we have a responsibility to tell the story. And I've been on all forms of media. I've print journalist for the majority of my life, for over 20, 25. I got a Source magazine as a hip hop journalist. And I got an article that I wrote in 1990. I didn't start writing for the Call and Post until 93. But and I've done print, I've done radio. Obviously, I've done podcasting, I've done online, and I've, aside from just music stuff, I'm talking about actual journalism. And Jerry Primm over there looking like, chill, I asked you to get this story to your people, and you ain't even do it. But anyhow, don't look at me like that, Jerry. We're on a different thing, Jerry. But Delvis, a lot of the times, and you brought up Black athletes, and we just had to deal the thing that okay, I see you, Bubba. Did I not get you in there? Okay, we got to get you in there. But Delvis, part of the issue that we're dealing with now is, when the lady told LeBron just shut up and dribble. And in Cleveland, we've had sports leaders historically that talk about other things besides sports. Jim Brown comes to mind, and that famous photo that people see with Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
Bill
Russell. That picture was taken in Cleveland.
On Euclid.
And the brother who was not the athlete was in that photo was Carl Stokes. First Black mayor of a major city. I have to say first Black mayor of a major city. Because we had Black mayors in Cleveland before Carl Stokes. Not in Cleveland proper, but in our neighborhood, in the Delvis and Lee, Seville, Miles, that was a city.
It was its own city, right?
And it had a Black mayor there before Carl Stokes. But so we're not new to athletes speaking out. And when the lady, and we expect the people, the system, expects our athletes, like LeBron was told, just shut up and dribble. And oftentimes, I've heard you give a different perspective on what Black athletes have to deal with, good and bad, because I've heard you take to task, athletes for not doing anything
Right.
with their fame or, with their influence. Who
Michael
made
Jordan was one.
See, I was gonna let you say that yourself.
Michael
But,
Jordan, until this year, he got his Negro wake up call this year.
So just talk about that, and then we got to go to Brother Vasa. I see your hand up, brother. I'm sorry I left you hanging. Go ahead, but real quick, Delvis.
The thing that athletes nowadays, to me, and it's just like young people as a whole, they're smarter than we were at their age. And one big reason is because we didn't have any internet. Our internet was the encyclopedia. I mean, we never got really real-time news. We had to wait a few days. And whether someone thinks it's good or bad, it's just the wealth of information that's available to young people. And what they're doing is they're soaking that stuff up and they're using it to not just their benefit and their families' benefit, but their communities. You had guys from the Boston Celtics that were going to Atlanta. You had football players that were going to Louisville to get Breonna Taylor's people. Athletes nowadays are more civically minded, and it's good. It's great. A generation ago, most of them had white agents. Everybody was white, and they kind of told them what to say, and it was just like, okay. But now these young Black people say, hey, I pay the agent, I do this, and they're at the forefront. But like you said, it's going to take a movement of younger people. And the athletes that are playing, I mean, LeBron is, I think, 35 and 36. He may be a veteran in the NBA, but in life, he's still a young man. When you look at our history, a lot of the people that did great things, Dr. King was like 20-something years old when he started. So Malcolm X was a young man when he started. But I just think that now, because of the wealth of information that's available to the young people, and with these athletes, now they're more than just an athlete. Just because you paid them $6 or $7 or $8 million a year don't mean that you can control them like they used to back in the day when we were younger. The money doesn't control the athletes. The athletes control the money, except for the only sport is football, because see, in football, they don't have guaranteed contracts. Basketball, they do. And if you see, as far as being progressive, the NBA is head and shoulders as far as being progressive. That's when you see the athletes really going into the communities, because their contract is guaranteed. So I'm proud of these young brothers. And let's not forget about the young sisters. The WNBA, they have an owner of their team, and she's Leffler from Georgia, and she's a bit of racist, and they talk about her to her face. The team that she owns, her players talk about her to her face, and like they dare to do anything. So these young sisters and these young brothers are doing it, and I'm proud of them, man. And these athletes of today are nothing like they were a generation ago.
All right, Brother Vasa, I got Cory up on my channel. What's going on here? I see you getting in there. Cory.
What's up?
Right.
Peace. How you doing? Peace to everybody on the panel. Brother Sean, what's going on? Peace, man.
All right, Brother Vasa, I see you up there, man. Come on, talk to me.
I just want to give y'all an uplifting moment in the honor of not just only African warriors, but African warrior scholars. I'm gonna quote somebody for y'all real quick. The U.S. Army fought a war with escaped, formerly enslaved Africans 10 years before the Civil War. Here's the emphasis. And they could not defeat them. You're the only group of people to go up against the United States Army and go undefeated. The African American male. They hide this story underneath what they call now the Seminole Wars. But that was you fighting. Big part of it was your African women. A big part of the reason how our Anglo-Saxon historical record comes into being is, if I'm not mistaken, Francis Drake, yeah, it was Francis Drake, starts getting African women who want to get out of bondage to fight for him against the Spanish. These African women become pirates and they operate the cannons on the ships so well that he instantly conquers Havana, moves his way up. What I'm trying to say to y'all is there's never been a time that we wasn't fighting. And I don't see a time where we was ever defeated. We only became defeated when we became individuals. When we accepted that American dream and we made it all about me instead of the we. That's the only defeat I ever seen here. And the only way they maintain their power is they still hiding underneath a little bitty umbrella. It's like the wizard at the end of the yellow brick road, that illusion of they're the ultimate we. But they're not. We see behind that curtain. We see behind that curtain. I don't think that the internet made us smarter. I don't think the internet made our babies smarter. I think what it is now is more than ever ingrained in American culture that you're supposed to be a rebel. So as a kid, you're going to rebel against anything. You taught that George Washington was a rebel. Jefferson was a rebel. Benjamin Franklin, rebel. It's glorified by them. Look at who they idolize. They love, I say it all the time, they even glorify, they love through Bonnie and Clyde. Rebels. The only thing America has now to rebel.
They have no legitimate argument after the plight of Black males, even amongst their own circles. This is why you see the Black Lives Matters bumper stickers in their neighborhoods, because they arguing with their parents now. And they feeling like they're getting a victory by saying these little things, but that's a victory for them. It's not for us. We can't get lost in the pacification process once again. I just wanted to throw that out. And I love to bring sense of humor. I gotta say this, my brother Larry over there cleaner than a bottle of bleach in that outfit. So I gotta say that while I'm on here.
I was gonna mention that.
You know, a big part of being a warrior is knowing what you're fighting for and knowing the value of what you're fighting for. So smile and know your lives are valuable, because that's what we should be fighting for daily anyways, is to put smiles on our families' faces. And I'm gonna bow back out.
All right, and I'm gonna go to Cory, but I also noticed that Larry left and came back cleaner than Steve Harvey. Okay.
You know what? It is my birthday weekend. I do got people coming, so yeah, I had to clean up a little bit. You know, everybody can't be like you, Rich, and all that. Chill. You know, I'm trying.
Oh yeah, okay. Larry left and got G'd. And what you call it had to step out. And I'm gonna go to Cory, but I was gonna bring up, and it reminded me of something that Sean had said, and I'm looking around for this specific book, but earlier I had, and when Sean, you were talking about that the enemy is an expert, and I brought that up, and I wanted to let people know when they organize, when they gather in groups, and I mentioned this earlier, that we have to look out for our own through infiltration. I had a couple of books, and anybody who has read how the Panthers were dismantled. It was a point, if anybody is up on the history of the Panthers, I mean, and we all talk about, we hear about COINTELPRO, and that's cool to talk about that. But there was a time it got to a point at the Panthers where it was so many agents and infiltrators in the Panthers that they didn't even know who each other were. They were telling on each other. Other infiltrators were dropping dimes on other. At one point, it might have been as many infiltrators in the Panthers as it was Panthers in the Panthers. It had gotten that bad at the end. So I just want to remind people that even when we gather in groups, man, know the people in your groups, and people can be turned. So keep that in mind, brother Cory. I'm glad that you joined us on here. I'm having issues, although I'm a journalist and I'm used to it, but this is getting to be a lot, man. Dealing with all these things that we're seeing in society, what's happening to Black people at the hands of the police, how it's being dealt with as we see it or not dealt with. It's a lot. So I just wanted to pull together some people to talk about what we're seeing, how they feeling, what they thinking, what's their take on it, what's the climate, just any information that you want to bring to the forefront about this. And thanks for showing up on my platform.
Oh, I appreciate you having me, Chill, man. I appreciate all the good information and insight that the panelists been giving out. I kind of been in and out. I was on the road when I first caught the show, so I kind of been listening in. My thing is, it's been no point in time where us African American, Blacks, whatever you feel comfortable with, it's been no points in history since we've been over here that we wasn't behind enemy lines. I mean, we was captured. We was forced to work for centuries. For generations. And at no point in time did things change while we've been over here. It's kind of really hitting us in the face. Somebody brought up the internet. I think the internet just allows it to be more in our face. I mean, it allows me to be there in these different cities where these different situations is happening, with a front row seat, better than some of the witnesses, like us looking at it on the internet, we getting a better view of the situation than some of the people that's out there actually on the scene. You know what I mean? Somebody might have been across the street, or somebody might have been, the car might have obstructed them, or they couldn't hear nothing because people was yelling. But like, it's right in our faces. We got a front row seat to it. And what that does is just makes us numb. It don't really put nothing on your heart because we've seen it so many times. But now I'm thinking it's then got to the point where we have seen it. We are starting to see it so many times that it's just getting frustrating. And the younger generation, they getting up and they ready to do something. And I think this younger generation don't have the organization that some of the past organizations had, but I think they willing to put a little more on the line. I think they got heart. I think they have an unorthodox approach to this whole situation, which is, if you look at in the political realm, is making so much noise. And over the next 4 years, I think we will start to see some sort of change. I think the conversation about reparations or trying to repair some of the damage that's been done over these generations, I think that conversation will be held more to the forefront of politics because of this younger generation, you know. And, you know, brothers, y'all can chime in and, you know what I mean, and, you know, give me some feedback on that, on what you think, Chill. You know.
Well, let me ask you this, Cory. And because I'm not used to hearing now, what I'm hearing about the young people, the young brothers and sisters. Yeah, they you are right. They seem to have right now a different type of fearlessness. And now, and I know, but I'll wait to see how they react when that's a little bit more energetically challenged. So we'll see what happens then. But when you brought up reparations, I really want to know if these people are that politically astute to make that connection, to make the connection of being out in the street, pissed off, sometimes throwing stuff, to connect that with those same group. And again, we talking about the necessity, brother talked about the necessity of, and we didn't have a choice now, I believe is what Sean said. We don't have a choice but to be warrior scholars. But I'm wondering, is that the kind of youth that we're building? Are we building? I'm hoping somebody tells me that we are. I know we got warriors so far, because you don't really know how, you really don't know if you're a warrior until you're really challenged, till you actually meet the enemy. Being out in the streets and throwing rocks and yelling ain't really meeting the enemy. So when they meet the enemy, and when they know that they meet the enemy, so let me change that, because they actually have met the enemy several times in some form or fashion. They just always don't know it. They deal with it every single day of their life. The reason that they're out there in the first place is because of the enemy. But I guess I want to know is are we raising? I know you're saying, Sean, that we don't have a choice but to be, but is that's what's coming up? Is that the generation? Is the generation coming up warrior scholars? And Sean, you can address that, but I definitely want to get to Brother Larry, because he got dressed up and he put his hand up.
You gotta let him go. He's too clean. Yeah, real quick. Our job is to educate them and provide them with the tools that they can use to propel that energy and that movement. Being that they don't have guidance, we're trying to reach them via internet, so all social media sites, through writings, to arm them to be able to move forward. Now, some of these kids that are out there in the streets are very well, not only very well spoken, but also they got the mindset. They're armed with methodology. They're using tools to disseminate. There was a young sisters you had on the show not too long ago about the other incident. Those sisters were very eloquent in their path, but they also knew what had to be done. They said, we got work to do, right? So we don't have enough, but we do see some bright spots. So it's our job to continue to educate, uplift, inspire, and develop that in them so that we can help them do what's necessary, because marching ain't gonna do nothing but get our feet hurt, right? We've been marching for hundreds of years. We got the biggest corns in the world.
Now we have corns and COVID-19.
Thank you. And nobody has marched more than Black people, protested more than Black people, and had to deal with the atrocities that we've had to deal with. So we have to come up with a new strategy Not saying that to not get out there and beat the street, but to let's do this on more than one plane. You got Brother Unc who's trying to educate people on how powerful voting is now, right? He's on this. In order for us to get the check, we gotta, you know, do something different. So let's fight for the check, but the check included education, free healthcare, free education, all these other things that we're owed, right? We ain't letting them get away with saying that we, you know, give us a handout. No, you owe. So we had to keep it like that. You owe, pay up. And then we'll be able to change some things for ourselves where we don't need these people in our neighborhoods, right? Because now we're not strapped for cash. Now we're able to facilitate change in our own neighborhoods, and we're able to get rid of some of these things. That's all we want is our fair share. If you got 10 drug dealers in the neighborhood and they all got a check for $1 million, they ain't got a means to sell drugs no more. You eliminated their reason for even hustling in the streets. But I'll mute out. That's to answer your question. Yeah, we're seeing some bright spots.
All right, I'm glad to know that. Brother LG Jr., and we gonna let you get in there, bro, since you got all dressed up, man. Bruh, are you about to go to a concert? Anyhow, and we got, and I see we have my brother Saber Wudjau in the building, so I'm definitely interested to see what he's building on. But we're gonna go to my man Larry because it's his birthday. He done got all dressed up. Man, Larry, you in the you had, is it a stylistics reunion? You one of the Charlites? Y'all got an old school show?
Well, you know, I get this sometimes from my uncle and my father, so I'm not even going to worry about that. But yes, I am entertaining people, just having a small get together, but I have to look nice. The thing about it is, like, what all the brothers have said tonight, you know, and I'll be leaving after this because I'm going to be receiving company soon. Everything that we have tonight, we made progress, yes, but is there more progress to come? Yeah. And the thing about it is like, you know, to be fair, if you know, as far as, you know, police, like the immediate thing is like if police kill another black man without any justification or means, then he should be tried for murder. You know, the thing about it is the Black Lives Matter don't scream when when somebody else kills somebody else because that person is immediately arrested. Police officers get a slap on the wrist and a 7-day vacation, sometimes with pay, sometimes without. So, you know, we need to keep doing what we're doing as far as what Delvis said, as far as the younger generation. I heard that diatribe that shut up and drove up by Laura Ingraham, you know, who I felt like should have shut up, period. But the thing about it is that, you know, when my brother, I don't even want to get Mr. Kafaria said, and what all my brothers have said on this line is that we must stick together, show the younger generation, you know, or have them, you know, learn from each other. And we need to stick together on one accord as far as justice for our people. The women, African-American women, you know, have been doing it. You know, sometimes we can either, you know, do what the sisters have done. So the thing is that I'm humbled to see 45. You know, a lot of people didn't make it, including my cousin who died back in July of a heart attack suddenly. But my cousin always told me this, my cousin Terry Brown, everybody known him as Big Brown, that no matter what, you got to keep fighting. And now I have another reason to keep fighting because since he's gone, he has 3 children. His youngest son is in high school, you know, in St. Ed's playing football. So I keep fighting for my son, but keep fighting for his and all of our sons. You know, congratulations to all of you, like to Chill, your son, you know, your children, Jerry, of course, his and everybody else's children that are striving to be great. And we must still conspire to be great, even though this is a messed up society. We have to fight, still fight, even if we don't see it in our lifetimes. You know, our children and our children's children and our generations afterwards will never experience the stuff that we've seen or our ancestors seen before us. So that's the bottom line. And I love you guys all, and y'all be safe. Have a great night. And please, 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 you know, like the brother said of reporting on Tennessee, try to get more information out of there, because after I got out of Facebook jail, I saw the thing about, you know, protesting and get rid of the voters' rights. I shared it on my page, but I'm just far in so many. So anything that you give me, I'll share it. I'll talk about it, talk about it as long as everything else. I have no problem doing that. Sometimes we should not be scared. Like you said, warrior scribes, chill. Sometimes we can't be scared to work the positions that our higher power put us in. On that note, love you guys. Have a great night.
All right, my man Larry H. Gardner Jr. Hey, Larry, before you leave, I want you to look at this. All right, you see these two books?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have several of the authors on the page. I'm gonna get you some information, and you have a very active following. So let's get together and get these brothers on your platform.
Exactly.
And to talk to your people and get some of this information out about warrior scholars.
My people read. They might not agree with me all the time and think I'm lost my mind, but they.
Man, you got some hostile people, man. Your people call it your show, and they show up at your show to argue you, and that's why you end up keep getting kicked off. Well, you don't kicked out the station because you know black people own the station that you rock for. But right. You get kicked off Facebook every other week because you going in on people.
You know what? The reason I'm gonna explain this. The reason why I got kicked off Facebook, like Delvis said, somebody was arguing with me about LeBron should just go ahead and play and shouldn't stand up for this and shouldn't boycott that. I went after him. I called him a name, and Facebook didn't like.
Okay, but you've been kicked off more than just one time.
Yeah, just one time. But I'm just explaining the last time. So if I get kicked off defending my people, then it was worth.
All right, talk about it. All right, Larry, and celebrate your birthday, bro. And you do know we have a meeting next week for the Black Journalists Association.
Yep, we do. All right.
Okay, all right. I'll make sure I see you at the meeting. But I'm about to bring in my brother Wudjau, but Cory, I do want to say one thing. Another thing is that as a journalist, I am concerned, and you're right. A lot of times through social media, we get the information first. We actually, that is the first line as a journalist. Let me see. I see you out there, T'Challa. We're gonna get you. As a journalist, we recognize now, we didn't at first, that social media is the first line of information. We give the example is if it's a fire at the bank, it's somebody running out the bank taking pictures of the fire. Mm-hmm. It's a fire at National City Bank on the corner of Main Street. Mm-hmm. All right. Then we scramble as journalists to pick up that information. All right. Then we follow it up with maybe a smaller blurb. Then the media, the social media or the online, they can react to it quicker, get that information right out with a little bit more information. And we follow it up later by calling the fire department, getting that information. Was it arson? Did somebody in the back room, was they smoking? Or, was it electricity? Then we get all the information. Then we get a fuller story. But it starts with that person running out. Now, the problem is, and we call that citizen journalism. The problem with citizen journalism is a gift and a curse, because you're not obligated to use any journalism ethics or fact checking. So many people put out so much stuff with no concern for accuracy. The people that repost don't know if that information is legitimate. And in that type of scenario now is a problem in the community, in this community, in the Black community. Misinformation is is now outweighing real information as far as consequences are concerned. So that's something that concerns us as journalists, because now everybody with a phone is a journalist in one way or another. But they don't have any obligations for fact checking, nor are they inclined to take those necessary steps to make sure that the information is accurate. I don't even know if they really care. But the people who receive that information, who spread it, who understand it to be true, have no idea if that information is correct. So that's something else that we have to deal with, and that we recognize in journalism. Brother Wudjau, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, Chill, I just wanted to say peace to you, man. I wanted to come and holler at you on the panel for a little bit, but I gotta get out of here. I got a show on the pseudo killers, you know what I'm saying, right now. So I want to say one more thing before I go real quick, if I can, if I ain't violating you.
Go ahead. Harry, throw it in there, bro. You about to bounce.
I just want to say, man, like Sean said, we got to be warrior scholars. And, Brother Unc, he pushing vote, get out there, get your vote out, vote for your local politicians. That's what's the most important thing. But my deal is we got to raise congressmen. We got to raise the people that's the state treasurers, the county treasurers. We got to raise the kids to be the school board superintendents. This is my thing. That's where I feel like the fight should be fought. That's where the real fight is at. It's with the kids, with the youth, with the babies. You got a 5-year-old right now, you got a 10-year-old. Make sure you raise that kid not to play basketball. If he play basketball for fun, that's fine. You know what I mean? I got a basketball player. There's nothing wrong with raising a basketball player. I got a son, he in college right now. He's a junior in college. He play college ball, But my thing is, we have to be raising these kids to be in the position of these politicians so we don't necessarily have to push ourselves to get out and vote. If Sean's niece that end up being a congresswoman, or Kevin's your nephew end up being a senator, you don't have to motivate me to go and vote for him. I'm gonna go vote for him. You know what I'm saying? It's automatic, So if we raising our family, if this is our family, and we raising them to get these positions, because it don't take that much time. It seems like it's a long time, but these kids grow up fast, right? You got a 10-year-old, you put him in the right mind, 10 years from now, he could be a congressman. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a far reach. This is something we need to do today so that tomorrow we'll be in the position to fight our fight. So we be the ones who writing the legislation. So we be the ones who pass the bills and allocate the money. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to vote and fight our way there. All we have to do is decide amongst ourselves what we want to put on the forefront, and we bring that to the table because we are sitting at the table. We are a voice at the table. We important at the table. But that's all I wanted to say, Chill. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate y'all listening to me. Let's raise these kids, y'all.
All right. I appreciate you, bro. When you get over to pseudo killers, tell everybody I said what's up, and tell CK I'm shouting her out for I wanted to drop a mother flowers, mother flipping. Hey, I love when how she rocks that. But all right, bro, I appreciate you falling through.
Peace, y'all. Peace, Wudjau. What's up, man? I ain't get to say what's up to Wudjau. Peace, man.
All right, brother Wudjau. I'm assuming that you know what we've been talking about, and I mean it's vast. It's a whole giant range of things, but it's all concentrated on what we're dealing with right now, as far as our community and people getting shot and how we dealing with it and why it's happening, what we're going to do about it, how we feeling about it, just what's going on. So how are you doing? Talk to me.
All right, peace to the panel. Peace to everybody. Peace to T'Challa, Vyasa. I think Sean's still here or left. Peace to everybody. Peace to you, Chill, and the audience. I am definitely late to the party. I just came in not too long ago and tuned in. I saw that you were live on YouTube. I said, man, let me click it. And I looked at the title. I said, wow, I missed a doozy, because this is something that I probably would have loved to been here for the whole time. So I'm just gonna keep it real short, just based on what I heard when I came in, and I just want to drop my 2 cents on it. I think you just said that everyone with the phone is essentially a journalist now, and you said it's a blessing and a curse, and man, I wholeheartedly agree with that, because that's something that I had a recent conversation with, an ongoing conversation with, in terms of how things changed because of the internet and the technology. And so I also liken that to the same thing we see with the computer. So just like everybody with a phone is now a journalist, so to speak, everybody with a computer is now a scholar, or even a music producer. And so what that does is saturates the field, and then it lowers the bar when that happens, because it goes unchecked. And I think that's what you were alluding to, by everybody being a journalist, and then they don't have to fact check. Just like a person with a computer, a scholar, they don't have to really research. Producer, they don't really have to know, the EQ spectrum and how to pan music, this, that, and the third. They don't know, bits per the phonics of sound, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely agree with you 1000% on that. Number two, something that Cory said, I wish he was here, but I know they had to they great start their show. This is something I stress, and I don't want to sound like it sounds like I'm trying to stir the pot when I say this, but the idea of even raising children to be in these positions, it appeals to something that we're already vulnerable to, okay? And that is, we vote for the wrong things and for the wrong reasons. We need to vote for policy. We need to exchange our vote for policy and not person. Because if we set ourselves up to think that we're going to raise somebody to be in a position, it's not about them being in a position. It's about what policy are they supporting? Are they going to champion our interests, our needs? And when you look at it like that, it doesn't matter what gender they are or what color they are. Because what happens is when we say stuff like that, like raise somebody to be in a position from us, the assumption is, okay, that pronoun is this blackness, this black. So we had President Obama for 8 years. But what policies did he champion that really affect the quote unquote us, and, at the end of the day, or what have you? And so we have that going on. So this is something I stress, is that we have to start to understand policy and become politically literate, which is what I did hear everyone pretty much say, as far as being warrior scholars and educating and teaching. But the idea of the us is problematic, because we haven't, and I'm using the word we because that's all I can, but we haven't really defined the we. And because we didn't define the we, it creates this to-do loop, this permanent loop, this circle, and we can't break it. And so we have to understand, what is our interest? What should we be interested in? What should be the policies that we are fighting for and standing on? And then politicians are never supposed to have their own ideas and policies. They're supposed to champion the people's policies. And so that's what we should be going for. So that's the only, two things I could really speak to. That's really all I heard. So hopefully that don't stir anything up.
No, that's that you good on that. I mean, I wish you had been here, seeing us at the beginning when we actually had a local politician, a Cleveland city councilman, but he's a different type of city councilman. But you know, where people will see it as it runs back, and I definitely want to acknowledge. Obviously, it's breaking news as we're talking, and obviously in respects to the information that I'm getting about Chadwick Boseman. When I get off, I'm gonna actually obviously check into that, and people have seen that. You know, I've interviewed that brother when he was really first getting started, and I'll deal with that. We address that, but brother T'Challa, I see you with your hand up. Talk to me. I don't know if you're reacting to something that somebody else said or you have some other information, but I see you out there. Go ahead, talk to me. Bring it.
Just want to say that's very unfortunate. The breaking news, and peace to Saber Wudjau. Last time I think I interacted with Saber directly, I was in class for the second time and didn't have a computer. So I wasn't able to complete my, get access to all my resources, but I'm going to get on that soon. But I got the, we, but anyway, I did want to say about the utilizing tools, because this is what this conversation is about. Is why I asked the question that I asked earlier. Being the youngest on the panel the whole time, I seek guidance and I seek wise counsel. I have my opinions about politics and different things, but I also know that my wise counsel they're more educated than I am. You all have been around the block a few times, and you have a better scope on life when it comes to certain issues than I do. And I'm willing to admit that, my opinion and my thought process is just that, on that note. So I think to speak to that point, we have to be willing as the younger generations, not too much younger, but I'm younger. Like I said, I'm the youngest on the panel. And so as the youth, we have to be willing to listen and be able to change our perspective based on new information arising and coming into, our knowledge. And I wanted to ask a question. I know you know, but I hope everyone knows what these are, right? Okay, so these are originally what, Brother Chill? What are they? What am I holding?
You're holding what people would generally refer to as nunchucks, more accurately, nunchaku, Okinawan-based weapon of self-defense that primarily was used as history goes, a farming tool.
Yeah, I have sources that say that, it was originally used as a, part of the mouthpiece for the horses, okay. As well as for rice, right?
Well, and that's been debated, so that's why I answered it the way I did. That obviously has been debated, but that's right. That's the general understanding that people have been given.
And so, regardless to
what's that, Wudjau?
What's that, Saber?
I said the actual fact, though, scholars have come to the consensus that Bruce Lee invented them. And
he played ping pong with him. But go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I bring this up because, again, this is what it keeps me sane. Not to get up and be trying to, I don't have a record, thankfully. I know what I'm doing with what I got, and I haven't, had any run-ins with the man, thankfully. But I bring these up to say that this is a tool that has multiple uses depending on what you want to use it for. Like anything else, I mean, them books behind you can be just as deadly as these said nunchaku. So I bring that up to say, in conjunction with my first point about when you know enough to know that you know a little, and that you will never know everything. And so you have to utilize tools to be able to get you to where you want to get. So we write, we read, we study, we alter things in our environment to fit our needs. Sometimes we're gonna have to, you know, we done all been in school. Yeah, I done went upside a few people's heads with a few books, because you won't stop knocking mine off my desk. But the primary use for a book, obviously, is not to be going upside nobody's head. And I say that to say, to the destruction of cities behind what's going on, I get it. I be ready to tear up stuff every day, all day. Whether I see another one of us get murdered or not, there's enough that's been done up until this point to where I'm on 10 when I wake up anyway. But what do? I have to slow it down and realize that I'm no better than my enemy if I act as my enemy in times of adversity. Because it's not when I'm walking in the park and everything is peaceful that I can just, you know, be, oh, that's a good brother. Yeah, you know, he's a real good brother. That, you know, nah. What am I doing in response to this chaotic world? Am I dousing the fire with gasoline? Or am I getting some wise counsel, being educated on some things, fueling my fire with the wisdom of that counsel and applying that knowledge so that I can, you know, have it become wisdom, and making sure that I'm not the next one, whether I'm doing something right or wrong. I could be doing something right and still get it, but I don't want to give them any more extra excuse with my misguided anger, which is the reason why I hopped on here, because I knew that I would be getting some sort of guidance. Because I kid you not, based on financial hardships and personal hardships, I could very well be one of these looters out here taken, because we all need. And with what I know I could get away with a few things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we live on the air, but those who know what they're doing, you know, you can get away with some things. And by me educating the youth for years, I want to say that I've been in this business for a while of making sure that the youth do understand the importance of not just your opinion on what you have on the matter, but being able to adapt to your environment and not respond in a way that will go out and get you murdered as well, because you're outraged about something. Even if it's your family member, you're not going to solve anything, because that's what we all feeling right now. We all on here because we upset. We got this knowledge and wisdom we imparting, and the rest of the world, we upset, we angry. And it doesn't make sense to tear down your community and take from the stores that you're going to have to shop at. We're not hunter-gatherers like we used to be. We still got to go to the stores and buy stuff. So I say that speaking from, you know, as the youth on the panel, and to the other younger generations that I educate, you need to learn how to redirect your anger. It's a daily struggle, but get you some wise counsel and redirect your anger. Use your tools appropriately. These don't come out unless I'm in training here, and I don't bring these out the house. Use your tools appropriately, and we'll be better off moving in that direction. With that, I'll mute out.
All right, my brother, I appreciate that. That was a nice set of nunchucks. That chain, man, that's a long looking chain though. I would normally work that with the chain not that long on my set.
Hey, this the Black Panther edition. You don't even this thing unscrew, and I got something special up in here. It's special.
All right. Hey, brother, and you know what? I do want to say that we've been planning although I did the martial arts post the other day with the Taekwondo master, but that was just primarily for him and his studio and his reopening and his students. But we're going to do a much larger martial arts piece with various styles, various traditions. Is going to encompass a whole realm. So I'm gonna make sure that you're there for that one. But it was something I wanted to ask Wudjau about what he was saying, because he was making the point about voting for policy. You know what? I got caught up in what you were saying when you brought out the nunchucks. It threw me off. Wudjau, was something you said about voting for policy that I meant to ask you a question on, and I cannot think of it. That's bad. That's not a good journalist. That's why I should have, I had my little notepad. I should have wrote it down. But it'll come back.
That's that journalism. See, that everybody be a journalism, and now the seasoned journalists are slipping on me.
The president of the Greater Cleveland Association of Black Journalists, and now I can't even remember my doggone question, but that's okay. All right, but because it was something on the subject of voting
for policy and not people,
and not people.
It's the same concept. Just a quick. It's the same concept that you argue against information and not people. Like you debate information and not people. We vote for policy and not people. And I'm gonna tell you, if we just grasp that concept, it will save us a lot of time and we'll be more efficient in what we're doing. Because some people are waiting for the Messiah child to be born to become a politician. Some people are just non-participant in politics because they've given up. They say it's rigged and stuff. We don't know how to exchange our vote, use our voting as an exchange, a medium of exchange for policy. Just same way as you go in the store and buy something. You're not going to give your money for something that is not to your liking. It's just that simple. And you're going to demand. So in your neighborhood, if everybody was on the same page, hence the definition of the we, and you didn't want a liquor store in your neighborhood, it's not going to be there, because you're going to demand that. Because of your interests and your needs, you want a Whole Foods or a healthy store there, because that's what you demand. Somebody just can't come and plop up because they want you to want that. Nah, it doesn't work that way. Politics don't work that way as well. But we don't know that. We're not politically literate. For the most part, we're just non-participants. So that's just the driving force behind the statement: vote policy and not people.
And I do want to add that aside from the point that you're making about raising, I forgot what term you just used, about raising the Messiah child. I don't know if that was the term you used.
The Messiah politician,
Okay, right. But even if that was the case, we're not ready for that, because we're not critical. We're not critical thinkers, and I'm really this example is not going to be about politics, but I think you'll see the same thing applies. When we're not critical thinkers, when we're not scientifically, medically literate, when we succumb to false narratives, to conspiracy theories, I was just reminded of when everybody was talking about, the coronavirus, COVID-19 and a possible vaccine. And when you had all the vaccine conspiracy theories and, everybody working on the vaccines is these, the evil white person is working for Bill Gates. And when the sister, one of the head scientists of the head teams, or the sister Kizzmekia Kismika Corbett came to the forefront when people started saying, "Hey, look at this sister, this head of this team." Lord knows what this sister had to go through if to be in the position that she was at. That's one of the people that we would hope that our kids rise to that level, to be in that type of position, to be able to help our community and us. But what happened? They bring it to the forefront, and our people. Oh, now she was catching it from white people because for other different reasons, but our people was making that woman an agent, a spy, the nurse from the Tuskegee experiment. That, by the way, don't even get me started on that as an example. But when we do raise somebody from within us, that's how we do them. With no rhyme or reason or information, that sister is an agent and is a spy and is in that position actually to do us harm. Man, that was crazy to me. I could only have imagined that was my daughter who worked her way through school, learned all of that information, became so knowledgeable that she rose to the level of the head medical scientist on a team of a bunch of white people working on the most needed vaccine since whatever, and that's how we do her. Man, that was crazy to me. But somebody talk to me about that phenomenon, and then we're gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna go deal with my brother Chadwick and get ready to light up my Chadwick interview. But somebody talk to me about that phenomena. How do we do that? Where does that come from? What makes us do that?
Well, I kind of attribute to, and this kind of ties into raising up people to take these positions from a young age. We have to understand that in order to train somebody to be something, the trainer themselves need to have competency, proficiency in whatever that is, and be able to teach it, even if they can't perform it. So if you take martial arts, for example, or boxing or any sport, physical thing, the older you get, the less abilities that you'll have to be able to perform those things, but you can still coach. Notice how all the coaches are older. They're not playing basketball. They're not actually boxing, but they have the experience and they know how to direct and how to, train and dictate. And so we're like behind two levels then, because how will we raise these folks to be whatever when we're not even politically or medically literate, like you were saying, scientifically literate and everything like that. So I think it ties into what you were saying, because when we see something like that occurs, we demonize it because it's an ocean of ignorance. We don't understand, and we've been thrown off. We don't have the right lens that we're seeing these things through. And that's really all I can have an explanation for it. Our insecurity, our collective insecurity, and the ignorance. We fear what we don't know, and then they have a lot of psychological terms for different layers of this: cognitive dissonance, and all kinds of things that breeds all this stuff as a collective. And that's to me, that's pretty much it. So to fix it, to combat it, it really comes down to information and true educators / teachers, people who understand the science of pedagogy and andragogy, teaching children and teaching adults, because everybody's not a teacher.
Right. All right, brothers. Well, I appreciate everybody's time on here. For the people that were already on the panel earlier, especially my brother, Councilman Kevin Conwell, who's and brother Jerry Primm, who really came on here to they're in the process of trying to block the vote of judge in Cleveland, Judge O'Donnell, who was the judge on the case that let go a police officer who was part of 13 officers who shot 2 unarmed, a black man and a black woman in Cleveland, Ohio, shot 137 shots. And one policeman who himself shot 49 shots, 15 from the hood of the car, firing after the other policeman stopped, fired 15 more shots directly into the front seat, amongst 137 shots. The judge who let that police officer, or who ruled that police officer was not guilty, is now running for state Supreme Court. So Councilman Conwell was here to urge Clevelanders, people in Ohio, even though in my county, Cuyahoga County, everybody's basically votes Democratic, but this judge is running as a Democrat, and the councilman is a Democrat, and he's stepping out against party, saying don't vote for this cat. He came on here to talk about that, and he himself, and I don't know if you saw that with Wudjau, he himself has a story that was widely covered in Cleveland, where he was stopped on a walking through by a college campus in the city by officers who felt it necessary to put their hands on their guns while talking to him, not knowing that not only was he a councilman, but was the councilman of that ward that this was taking place in. So, and he dealt with that several different ways. He was not quiet about it, and let everybody know that if that could happen to a councilman, much less a councilman of that actual ward, it was his ward, that could happen to any black man. So he was on here speaking about that, as well as this judge who was running, who was the same Judge O'Donnell who found Officer Brelow not guilty of being a participant in shooting 2 unarmed black people, a man and a woman, firing 137 unreturned shots, 49 from one single police officer who was standing on the hood of the car after the other policeman stopped shooting. He fired off 49, 15 from the hood of the car directly into the front seat of that black man and black woman, and was let go. So Councilman came on to talk about that, but we had other brothers who came on to share information, other journalists. So I appreciate everybody that took time to walk with me on this one. We'll replay it. Hopefully somebody gets something from it. I think that I did as well, even as a journalist. I've had to call in counselors to speak to my group of journalists because of what they see every day in Cleveland and what they have to cover, and people still dealing with Tamir Rice and the Sister Anderson and the 137 shots that happened back to back, and we had to go out there and cover that. But so we have to sometimes be able to work things out as well. But I appreciate you guys showing up, and we'll go deal with this other thing and find out what's going on and react to it. But I appreciate everybody showing up, and see you again.
All right. Peace, brother.
All right. Peace. Thank you, guys.
All right. Peace.